What's a moment you realized someone hated you for a reason that had nothing to do with you? I realized my neighbor hated me on a Tuesday morning in the most random, stupid way you can imagine. I was taking out my trash, same as always, and he stormed out of his house like someone had just told him his car got repossessed. I said, "Morning," because, I'm a normal human being who greets people in the vicinity, and he just stopped dead like I'd insulted his entire bloodline. Then he said, "You sound just like him." I didn't know what that meant, so I laugh awkwardly and ask, "Like who?" He goes, "My father." And I hated that man. I'm just standing there holding a bag of garbage, trying to figure out if this is a prank or if I accidentally wandered into a therapy session I did not sign up for. But he didn't laugh. He didn't even blink. He just kept staring at me like I personally abandoned him at a gas station in 1997. After that day, he got weird. Every time I parked my car even a centimeter over the imaginary property line between our driveways, he'd come outside with a tape measure. He'd report me to the HOA for things that literally didn't exist. His grass is too shiny. His recycling bin is too blue. His porch light is aggressively bright. At first, I thought he was just one of those bored suburban people whose soul gets absorbed into neighborhood drama like it's a religion. So I tried being extra nice, waved, offered to help him with his absolutely tragic lawn. Nothing worked. Actually, kindness made it worse. One time he told me, "You think you're better than me," completely out of nowhere. I was just bringing in my groceries, and he said it like he'd been rehearsing it in a mirror for days. The turning point was when his wife came over apologizing. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't had a peaceful night in years. She told me quietly that her husband had major unresolved issues with his father. Like major. The man walked out on him when he was 12 and apparently had this specific tone of voice. Calm, polite, slightly deep, that set him off like fireworks. She said, "You talk like him. That's literally it. You could be a saint and he'd still hate you." And it was like this fog lifted all the hostility, all the paranoia, all the weird stares. It had nothing to do with me. Zero. He didn't hate me. He hated whatever part of me reminded him of the man who broke his childhood. After that, I stopped trying. I stopped waving, stopped explaining, stopped caring whether he measured my driveway or left passive-aggressive notes about my unapproved bird feeder. I started treating him like a thunderstorm, unpredictable, annoying, impossible to reason with, inevitable. And the more I stopped reacting, the quieter he got. Almost like the fun was gone once I wasn't playing the role he cast me in. The wildest part, he eventually moved away, and on the day he left, he didn't say goodbye, but his wife did. She hugged me and said, "Thank you for not making it worse." And for the first time, I realized something truly bizarre. Sometimes people don't hate you. They hate a ghost you accidentally resemble. I used to work with this girl named Talia. Picture the human embodiment of a glittery chaos storm, loud, pretty, dramatic in a way that felt genetically coded, always vaping in the parking lot, always fighting with her boyfriend on speakerphone like the rest of us wanted front row seats. We weren't close, but we were friendly work friends, the kind who share snacks during boring shifts and complain about customers in the walk-in freezer. Then one day, she just stopped speaking to me. Like full-on, silent treatment, stone face, emotional blackout. I thought I'd accidentally taken her scheduled break or something. Asked her what was wrong. She literally walked away mid-sentence. I felt like I suddenly had cooties at age 26. At first, I brushed it off. People have mood swings. Whatever. But then she started giving me the look. The one, half disgust, half pity, 100%. I hope you stub your toe every morning for the rest of your life. This went on for weeks. She'd slam drawers if I walked near them. She'd switch stations to avoid being stuck next to me. She even stopped grabbing donuts when I brought them, which is a big sign. Something's wrong because this girl once ate 4 Boston creams in a single break and didn't blink. Finally, one shift, she corners me by the soda syrup boxes and blurts out, "You talk exactly like my mother." I thought she was joking. I laughed. She wasn't laughing. Her mom, she explained, was one of those passive-aggressive optimists. The kind who said things like, "Sweetheart, try not to disappoint yourself today," and "You look tired but still brave." The kind who'd ask if you were gaining weight but said it with a soft smile and a gentle voice, making you feel like you were the crazy one for being upset. Apparently, I had her tone, not her words, not her behavior, just the tone. And that was enough for Talia to hate me with the force of 1,000 burning suns. And I mean, anything I said triggered her. Good morning reminded her of her mom telling her to be her best self even if it's not very good. Do you need help with that? Reminded her of her mom offering fake comfort before lecturing her. Even thanks bothered her, because that's how her mom sounded when she was irritated. It wasn't me. It was never me. I was just an accidental voice echo of the woman who made her childhood feel like walking on glass. After she told me that something shifted, not in her, she kept her distance but in me. All the tension I'd been carrying, thinking I'd done something wrong, evaporated like air fizzing out of a balloon. We weren't meant to be friends. We were just two people who crossed wires in the worst possible way. The irony. Months later, she quit to travel with that same toxic boyfriend she fought with every single day. People still talk about how she left with no notice and stole 3 boxes of straws on her last shift. Every now and then, I think about her. Not with anger, just this weird sympathy. Because hating someone for sounding like your mother must be exhausting, and living with a voice that haunts you even worse. My cousin Stefan was the golden child of the family before the word golden child even existed in my vocabulary. He was the firstborn, the loudest, the funniest, the one who somehow made being mediocre look charming because he had the confidence of a man who'd never been told no in his life. Teachers adored him for reasons no one could ever explain. Relatives worshipped him like he cured cancer by playing football poorly and smiling politely at Christmas. I was the opposite. Quiet, bookish, awkward. The kid who needed instructions repeated twice because I was daydreaming about dragons or space missions or anything except real life. From childhood, Stefan developed a specific hobby, making sure I stayed in the role he assigned me, family underachiever designated loser. The cautionary tale perched 2 chairs away at every holiday dinner, and he did it subtly, not the obvious bullying you can call out, no. He used that insidious, well-practiced tactic, polite sabotage. He'd compliment me only in ways that sounded like flaws. Good job on getting a BBs are solid for you. You're actually kind of funny sometimes. I think it's cool you don't care what girls think. You're smart, but not like stressed out smart. Just normal smart. If I achieved anything, he framed it as a fluke. If I failed, he framed it as fate. The worst part. He said it all with a smile in the same tone adults used when talking to toddlers who played a recorder off key. So no one ever saw the venom underneath, and if I pointed it out, I looked bitter, ungrateful, thin-skinned. It wasn't until we were adults that I realized he didn't just enjoy seeing me fail, he needed me to fail, because if I succeeded even once, the entire family's mythology around him being the exceptional one might start to wobble. But the moment I realized he was secretly rooting for my failure happened when I got into university. I didn't tell him about my application, didn't ask for help, didn't even mention I was trying. I got the acceptance email alone in my room, sitting cross-legged on the floor beside a pile of laundry I'd been procrastinating folding. Feeling this weird electric mixture of excitement and disbelief, I told my parents first, then my aunt, then it trickled naturally through the family grapevine. I didn't even think about Stefan until he showed up at my house 3 days later. He didn't congratulate me. He didn't smile. He didn't even pretend to be excited. He walked into my room, closed the door behind him like he was about to read me my rights, and said flatly, "So what's your plan? You know you won't last, right?" I swear the air went still. I felt like I was watching a movie about someone else's life because no one actually says that out loud. Not even him. Not even with all his weird digs over the years. I didn't respond, so he kept going. "You're not built for university. Don't embarrass yourself trying to keep up. Just do something simple, man. Save yourself the stress." And that's when it hit me, not gradually, not gently, but like someone smashing a mirror over my head. He wasn't giving advice. He wasn't being protective. He wasn't being realistic. He was terrified. Terrified I might succeed. Terrified I might outrank him in the one area he'd always used to feel superior. Terrified that if I discovered who I could be, it would expose who he wasn't. It was the first time in my life that I saw him clearly, not as the confident, charismatic favorite, but as someone whose entire identity depended on staying one rung above me, someone who'd built his ego on my back without my consent. And something cold and electric sparked in me, not anger, not spite, resolve. I didn't yell, I didn't cry, I just said, "Watch me." And I did. I didn't just pass university, I thrived. I made friends, joined clubs, published papers, built connections, graduated with honors. Each achievement felt like adding another brick to a wall between us, not out of spite, but out of necessity. And here's the part I didn't expect. The better I did, the nastier he became. Passive-aggressive comments at family dinners, jokes that sounded like compliments dipped in acid, weird little jabs like, well, not everyone can handle real jobs after graduation, even though he was the one unemployed. And the more he crumbled, the clearer it became. He had never been rooting for me. He had always been rooting for the version of me that made him feel bigger. But when I proved him wrong spectacularly, consistently publicly, he had nothing left to stand on. Now he avoids me at gatherings. He leaves rooms when I enter. He pretends to be busy when relatives ask us to take a picture together. And weirdly, it's the most peaceful our relationship has ever been, because I stopped trying to win his approval and he stopped pretending he ever wanted me to win. I used to think workplace competition was something you only saw in TV shows, those dramatic office betrayals with ominous music and camera zooms. In real life, I assumed grown adults weren't actually petty enough to sabotage each other over job titles. Especially not in a mid-sized marketing agency where the highlight of most weeks was getting free muffins on Friday. Enter Maya, the coworker who operated like a Bond villain disguised as an HR-approved sunflower when she first got hired. She was all compliments. Wow, your campaigns have such a fresh voice. I don't know how you do it, you're always so calm under pressure. You make this place look easy. She brought in pastries, remembered birthdays, complimented people's shoes. She had that personality that made everyone instinctively relax around her, except over time. I noticed something was off whenever I did something well. She was there, hovering, asking probing questions that sounded supportive, but felt like scouting missions. How exactly did you pitch that? What words did you use? Did the client give you feedback directly or through the director? So who signs off on those reports again? At first, I thought she wanted to learn. I didn't mind explaining things. I was the type who believed in teamwork and mentorship and all that idealistic stuff HR posters preach. But then projects started getting messy around the edges. Deadlines I never missed suddenly looked late. Clients said they weren't updated even though I'd emailed them. A proposal went missing from the shared drive. A meeting was moved without anyone telling me. At first, I blamed myself. Maybe I was slipping. Maybe I needed to be more organized. But then the pattern sharpened like a camera coming into focus. Things only went wrong after Maya showed interest in them. I confronted her gently once, just a soft, "Hey, did you move the meeting?" And she gave me this hurt little smile like I'd accused her of arson. "Oh gosh, no, sweetie, I would never do that. Are you sure you didn't misread the calendar? Sweetie." That should have been my warning. No coworker calls another coworker sweetie unless they're 2 seconds from drawing blood. The moment I knew she was rooting for my failure came during a big account pitch. I'd worked on this for 3 weeks straight, late nights, early mornings, tweaking slogans until my brain felt like pudding. The morning of the pitch, I walked into the conference room with my laptop ready, and the slides were wrong. A completely old version. Missing half the content, missing the budget breakdown, missing the graphics. It looked like a high school PowerPoint. My stomach dropped into the center of the earth. Before I could even react, Maya walked into the room and did the fakest surprised gasp I'd ever seen in my life. "Oh no, did your computer not sync the updates?" She had this look, this soft, compassionate, pitying look, like she was witnessing a car crash she had gently nudged into traffic. That was the moment. The exact second I realized she wasn't just hoping I'd stumble. She was laying banana peels in my path. but karma works best through the very people it tries to humble. Because the director.r very no-nonsense allergic to office drama director tilted, her head looked at the version history on the shared drive and asked the room, who saved an outdated file over the updated one at 2:13 a.m. last night. Maya's face drained faster than a bathtub after someone pulls the plug. Everyone knew she worked late. She bragged about it constantly. She acted like staying past 6 was a personality trait. And 2:13 a.m. was exactly her brand of martyrdom. She tried to talk, stammered something about maybe the system auto-restored, but the director had already pulled the audit logs, and there it was, her username, her edit, her overwrite. She didn't even have the chance to spin a lie. The director asked her to step outside. She didn't come back for the rest of the meeting. Didn't come back that week, didn't come back ever. Apparently she resigned, but HR's tight-lipped tone made it clear she'd been escorted out with the same enthusiasm used to escort people off airplanes. Meanwhile, I was allowed to give my pitch using the correct version because the director had pulled the auto backup. I got the account and a raise, and later a promotion. Maya, last I heard. She bounced between jobs for a bit. Her references from our company were vague. That's the kind of vague you don't recover from. But the best part wasn't the karma. It wasn't the justice. It wasn't the vindication. It was the moment 3 months later at an alumni networking event when someone asked her what happened at our company, and she said, "I think some people just can't handle competition." And I laughed so hard I had to step outside and pretend to cough. So I live in one of those neighborhoods where every house looks normal, but the people inside them secretly treat their street like a weird suburban ecosystem with unspoken rules. Most folks keep to themselves, wave politely, mow their lawns, and mind their business. Except for Wayne, the man who apparently decided on day one that I was his personal enemy. I have never in my life seen someone hate a stranger so quickly and so intensely. He was like one of those dogs who likes everyone except one random person they immediately want to maul. That was me, the unlucky chosen one. From the moment I moved in, his eyes narrowed at me like I'd ruined his retirement plans just by existing. I tried being friendly. "Morning," nice smile, small wave. He stared back like I'd insulted his ancestors. I figured, whatever, it's his problem, not mine, except it quickly became my problem. Little things started happening. My trash cans would mysteriously end up knocked over, packages disappeared. My mailbox got left open after the mail arrived. My driveway got blocked by his truck. By accident. At least once a week I tried talking to him once. Literally once. He stepped outside chewing on sunflower seeds like he was in a Western showdown and said, "Just because you moved in doesn't mean you get to change how things are around here." What things? I had been there 6 days. What did I even change? The air composition. Anyway, I let it go. I didn't want drama. I'm not a fighter. I'm a leave me alone and I'll leave you alone type of person. But Wayne thrived on conflict, the way some people thrive on compliments. The real breaking point came when I adopted a rescue dog, this elderly beagle mix named Honey, who walked slower than molasses but had a heart of gold. She was barely capable of barking, much less causing difficulty. Wayne hated her instantly. She better not dig up my yard. She better not bark at night. She better not go near my bushes. His bushes were half dead by his own neglect, but sure blamed the 10-year-old beagle. Then one morning, I woke up to find a handwritten note taped to my door that said, "Control your animal or animal control will do it for you." That was it. The switch flipped inside me. I bought a $30 doorbell camera and 2 small yard cams. I mounted them discreetly, the kind that look like little plastic rocks. And within 3 days, guess who got caught red-handed tossing a bag of dog poop into my yard? Yep, Wayne. Except here's the beautiful twist. Honey doesn't poop outside. Her stomach is sensitive. She uses puppy pads. The vet recommended it, meaning the bag of poop wasn't from my dog, which means it was his dog's waste he was throwing. He literally stole his own dog's poop to frame me. I posted the footage to my neighborhood Facebook group, not maliciously, not with commentary, just, Does anyone know why this man keeps tossing bags into my yard looking for a solution? Chaos. Absolute chaos. People he'd been rude to for years suddenly had the courage to say, "Oh, he does this to everyone. I thought it was just me." And "He slashed my lawn inflatable last Christmas." And "He stole a pressure washer from my porch once." Within 2 hours, the man who used to strut around like he owned the street was being torn apart online by everyone he ever annoyed. But the real karmic masterpiece came later. A week after Poopgate, I was leaving for work. My hands were full. I dropped my phone while locking the door. Wayne happened to be outside and snorted one of those haha idiot laughs he does. But when the phone hit the concrete, it lit up. The screen faced upward, and he accidentally got a full view of my lock screen, which was a paused frame from the camera footage. Specifically the part where he was holding the poop bag. Mid-throw, face clear as day, he froze. His smirk collapsed. His eyes widened. He looked like I'd caught him committing a felony in 4K. I didn't say a word. I just calmly picked up the phone, nodded at him, and walked to my car. He hasn't bothered me since. No trash cans knocked over. No missing packages, no barking threats, no dirty looks. He even started waving at me first. It's the jumpiest, most nervous wave I've ever seen. Karma didn't just act through me. Karma handed me the camera, the footage, and the perfect timing to show him exactly who he was. And nothing, and I mean nothing, feels better than knowing the villain in your life had to face himself in HD. Okay. Gather around, because this is the story of Evan, the man who thought sabotaging my career would make his mediocre one look better, and how karma used me like a puppet to smack him directly in the ego. So, picture this. I work in a corporate office where everyone pretends to be busy 90% of the time. Think gray carpets, passive-aggressive emails, an office fridge that's basically a crime scene, and those team-building meetings where the manager says, "We're like a family," and everyone looks like they want to dissolve into dust. I was the newest hire at the time, quiet, hardworking, kept to myself. I wasn't trying to climb any ladders. I just wanted a peaceful life and a functional paycheck. Enter Evan. If insecurity were a person, it would be this man. He had that fake confidence where he'd brag about crushing numbers when everyone knew he was held together by caffeine and panic. The moment I got praise for a report, his smile twitched like he was physically allergic to someone else succeeding. At first, it was minor stuff. He'd forget to copy me on important emails. He'd take credit for my suggestions in meetings. He'd conveniently lose shared documents when it benefited him. Classic insecure coworker nonsense. But then he escalated. I noticed that coworkers would look at me weirdly, like that mix of pity and judgment, the "oh honey" expression. I thought I was imagining it until one of the interns pulled me aside and whispered, "Hey, Evan's been telling people you're falling behind on deadlines," which was wild because I had spreadsheets, timestamps, email trails, evidence that I was ahead of schedule. Then another coworker told me Evan said I struggled with basic tasks and that the pressure might be too much. He was trying to build a narrative that I was incompetent, not enough to get me fired, but enough to tarnish my rep while making his shine. And the thing about corporate gossip, it spreads faster than an email marked low importance. I went to my manager diplomatically and asked if there were concerns about my performance. She said no, but she had heard some things. That was it. The moment everything inside me settled into this crystal clear understanding, Evan was trying to ruin my image. He was strategically seeding doubts, whispering them like a coward, hoping they'd spread quietly. So guess what? I did. I went quiet too. On purpose, I stopped correcting the rumors. I stopped defending myself. I stopped explaining my work in group meetings. I let Evan talk and talk and talk. Because the louder a liar gets, the more noticeable they are when the truth hits them in the face. My revenge began with one simple thing: documentation. For 6 weeks, I kept receipts, screenshots of emails, Excel sheets of deadlines, files showing every completed task, timestamps of when Evan accessed shared documents, Slack messages where he subtly tried to warn me about rumors. He started himself. I didn't get emotional. I didn't confront him. I just downloaded everything like a polite little archivist preparing for court. And then Karma decided to give me the perfect opportunity. We had a quarterly performance meeting with our entire team managers, supervisors, HR, the big table, the big screen, the big deal. Evan walked in smug like he was about to be knighted by the queen. Halfway through the meeting, the supervisor said, "We've received concerning feedback about communication issues and missed deliverables from one of our newer team members." Evan actually sat up straighter, like a golden retriever hearing a treat bag. Then they did the one thing he didn't expect. They said my name. Everyone looked at me. And Evan, this man was glowing, hands folded, eyes shining with anticipation. He wanted to watch me crumble. So I took a deep breath and said calmly, "I'm glad this was brought up because I actually prepared something." I plugged in my USB, the projector screen lit up, and I unleashed a 38-slide presentation titled "Actual Task Completion Rates versus Rumors Circulated Without Evidence." The room went silent. Slide by slide, I showed time-stamped proof of my work. Slide by slide, I showed missing emails that evaporated after Evan accessed shared folders. Slide by slide, I displayed Slack messages where he contradicted himself. And then the final slide. Here is a timeline of when each rumor started matched with the exact days Evan accessed or edited related documents. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I just showed the facts. Evan's face turned every shade of, "Oh God, I'm screwed." HR stiffened. My boss leaned forward like she was watching a telenovela. Someone whispered, "Holy." And then I ended with, "I don't want to assume motives, but this pattern concerns me." Silence. Then Karma stepped in wearing stilettos. HR turned to Evan and said, "Do you have anything you'd like to explain?" He stuttered. He sweat. He tried to blame system glitches. He tried to blame me. He even tried to blame an intern. It was like watching a man drown in the ocean, but every lifeboat was labeled "Lies You Told." After the meeting, HR pulled him aside. By end of day, he was put on a performance improvement plan. 3 weeks later, he was removed from 2 major projects. 2 months later, he was quietly transitioned out, corporate speak for fired. Without calling it that, guess who absorbed his responsibilities? Me, with a raise and a new mentor, and an apology from my manager. As for Evan, I heard through the grapevine he's working at some small shady startup now. Apparently they micromanage him. Apparently he hates it. Apparently Karma didn't just act through me, it picked up a bullhorn and shouted, "Don't start wars you can't finish." Let me tell you about my Aunt Rose. Every family has that relative, the one who smiles like she's baring her teeth, the one who hugs you like she's checking your pockets for contraband, the one who compliments you in a tone that makes you feel like you're being auditioned for judgment. That's her, always has been. I'll give you the backstory. I was the quiet kid in a very loud family. Rose's daughter, Ivy, was the golden child, straight A's, student council, varsity soccer, the whole "my kid could do no wrong" thing. Meanwhile, I was the artsy one who wrote weird stories and liked cats and stayed out of trouble. You'd think being the boring one would make me invisible. Nope. To Aunt Rose, my existence was somehow a personal threat. When I got my first job at 17, she told everyone it was because my parents needed the money. When I got into a decent college, she said I probably got in because schools need more diversity of mediocrity. When I moved out, she told my grandmother I was running away, like what? But the real mess, the moment I realized she hated me for reasons that had nothing to do with me, started after my grandma got sick. My grandmother adored me. I was the one who brought her groceries, took her to appointments, helped her write birthday cards. She couldn't hold a pen for Aunt Rose. Hated that she wanted to be the favorite. She wanted the emotional power. She wanted the inheritance, let's be real. So when grandma's health declined, Rose decided to go full villain and basically tried to erase me from my own family. Phase 1, the Whisper Campaign. She spread little rumors like seeds in a garden of gullible relatives. She only visits grandma to make herself look good. She's manipulating her for money. Grandma seems confused after she leaves. Do you think she stresses her out? The implication that I was somehow abusing my dying grandmother. It blew my mind because I was literally doing the chores Rose herself refused to do. But she said it quietly with concern dripping from her voice like spoiled honey, and unfortunately, people bought it. A few cousins stopped talking to me. One uncle even called to check in on me like I was emotionally unstable. Phase 2. The setup. One day, Rose insisted on taking Grandma to a doctor's appointment I usually handled. I thought, fine, maybe she's trying good for her. No, she wanted ammunition. She told the doctor Grandma had been anxious after my visits and hinted I was stressing her out. She made it sound like I was pressuring her into decisions she couldn't handle. Mind you, Grandma was sharp. In pain, yes, but mentally sharp. She told the doctor she trusted me. She told him I never pressured her. She told him she didn't know why anyone would say that. And Rose turned red like neck splotches, forehead veins popping, jaw twitching red. But she still wasn't done. Phase 3. The explosion. This is where karma stepped in like a WWE referee entering the ring. My grandmother asked the family over for dinner. Her idea because she wanted everyone together. Turns out this 92-year-old woman had had enough. I didn't know what was coming, but apparently she planned a whole confrontation. Everyone was seated eating the dry roast. My uncle pretends is edible. Grandma stood up with her walker like Moses parting the Red Sea and said, "I need to clear something up. Some of you have been misled." I swear to God, it was like the air got heavier. Then she turned to Aunt Rose. "You," she said, "you have lied about my granddaughter." Rose opened her mouth to protest, but Grandma kept going. She listed everything: the rumors, the lies, the anxiety, claims, the whispering behind my back, the doctor stunt. Then Grandma said something I will remember until the day I die. "You wanted to be the hero of this family, but heroes don't create villains where there aren't any." Absolute mic drop. My entire family turned to look at Rose like they were seeing her clearly for the first time. Her daughter Ivy looked horrified. Her husband looked like he'd aged 20 years in 10 seconds. And Rose, she cried loudly. Ugly crying. Grandma wasn't done. She announced she was changing her will. Not to give me everything, no, but to ensure Rose couldn't manipulate anything. And then she said, "From now on, if you want to be part of this family, you'll stop trying to tear it apart." Rose left early. She didn't talk to me for months, but here's the karmic end. After Grandma passed, every relative who believed Rose came to me privately. They apologized. They thanked me for caring. They admitted they'd been fooled. And slowly, so slowly, they started trusting me again. But the biggest twist. Now, whenever any relative needs something organized, decided, or handled, they come to me. Not Rose. She lost the power she desperately wanted and the family. They finally saw her for who she was, the woman who hated me, not because of anything I did, but because I was everything she pretended to be.